What has made you lose all respect for someone? Co-worker was a single mother of 3. Christmas was around the corner and she was upset. She was trying to figure out how to explain to her kids that Santa missed their house. We all got Christmas bonuses. I gave her mine and said buy your kids presents. She went clubbing with it. Oh, she's broken pull, and next day on all social media she is at the club, buying drinks for other people, and smoking. Later she's trying to give people the same sob story. It wasn't that Santa didn't have money for presents. It's that Santa would rather go out and party than take care of her own kids. Lost all respect for her. Broke all ties and associations. You're a nice person. Hopefully one day your generosity will be utilized by someone who is not a total piece of it. That's fricked up. Yup, I had bought her lunch a few times because she was crying that she was starving but couldn't afford it so she could feed her kids later. She just used her kids as bait to try and pity free it out of people. Apparently she even had a higher up paying her rent a couple times. She's probably an energy vampire. Wanting to frick me. We're cousins. Translation: you can't drop this bomb on everybody and not give more information. What happened? My mum gets angry and blacks out with anger, then hits me, calls the police, and I get arrested for domestic abuse. Only BC she called the police first and she's a woman. She's done this to me and my dad and grandmother multiple times. You should probably start recording the next time that happens. Warning. Gross. Good friend for many years, was always raised spoiled, but he wasn't so bad to be around. The most annoying thing about him though was his inability to admit when something was his fault. One day he called me up saying he desperately needed to talk with me. He kinda opened up and said that some girl was making accusations that he actually assaulted her at a party when all he got was a blowjob from her. I comforted him cause he seemed really upset. I then talked to some others who were at this party and they mentioned all the stuff he left out of the story. 1. The girl was underage. 15. 2. At the end of the blowjob he held her hair down so she had to take his cum in her mouth. 3. Her mother was called to pick her up and when she got there he grabbed her and tried to force her into a bedroom to have sex. 4 guys had to grab him off this girl and hold him back so he couldn't grab her again. To this day I have no idea why the cops weren't called on him. I confronted him with this info and he started bragging about what he did. I distanced myself greatly from him after that. When she started talking it about people behind their backs and acts like their beset friend around them. Finding out my best friend since 3rd grade backstabbed me over a girl. He spread a rumor that I was gay to our friends to increase his chances with her. He destroyed years of friendship over a girl I didn't even like and wasn't into him either. Sounds like something Greg Heffley would do. Intentionally mean to a disabled person. Instantly: I do not care if you die or not. We will never be friends again. You are not a good person. Found out a friend raped another friend. Never talk to that fricker again. This girl I was flirting with mentioned that she is a diabetic, but refused to take her meds for it. I'm a type 1 diabetic and I know exactly what's coming down the line for her. I noped out of that real quick. A crush I once had slept with a manager to get herself a promotion. Got said promotion, then dumped the manager nearly immediately, then came to me to try and start something between us. It was a solid no. Dodge a freaking cannonball there, mate. She collected for a charity and kept the money, cause she needed it more. He hit his girlfriend. When my wife's aunt beat the it out of my mother-in-law and threatened to put a hit out on my wife and I. He cheated on his girlfriend right in front of me and told me not to tell anyone. When someone beats an animal they are immediately scum of the earth in my books. I was dating a guy and we had been together for a few weeks at this point, but we had never really gone anywhere together. One day we decided to go on a road trip. We stopped to get snacks, as one does on any good road trip, and got back on the road. A few miles in, he is done with his beverage. Dude rolls down the window and hucks the cup into the ditch. I couldn't believe it, so I stopped the car and asked him to pick it up. He refused and seemed genuinely confused as to why I was so upset. In that moment I was completely over it and I could never look at him the same way again. We broke up shortly afterward. I always lose respect for people when they lie and don't keep their promises. A real good friend talked about MLM, ACN, for 1 year straight. We all know how they get, it's sickening. He wouldn't talk about anything else. I swear he asked me to join 8 times a day. We made a deal, because he was a different person and annoying as FCK you can't imagine. I told him just pay the 180 entree fee for me and he'll join you, and I would really try to make the best of it. Meetings, selling it, etc. So the day we would make me a member, oh I don't have my card with me now, we'll send it to your account tomorrow. Big red flag, but this was one of my 5 closest friend I would see 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. So I paid it, and the next day he was like, why should I pay it? If you put in work you have it back in no time. Of course I broke ties with him, and now when I see him from time to time he still asks me why I never react on his chats and if I wanna come over with my girlfriend, who hated him from the start, for dinner XD. People are so FKKNG weird, man. Probably when I found out my bio mum intentionally went out her way to have my dad's kid so he'd stay with her. Apparently she'd tried that with other men, but wasn't successful. I was adopted at birth and he married her best friend, so didn't work. I was more astounded she told me this to my face like it was a blessing. Like I should be smiling as much as she was that she used no protection and told my father she couldn't get pregnant so he'd sleep with her. I don't think I'm ever gonna get over that one. A friend of my daughter confided to me that her stepfather was sexually abusing her and her mum would watch. I urged her to tell the police and school authorities offered to let her stay with us. She did tell and the social services forced him to stay away. Her mother made her drop the charges and let him back home. One of my close friends berated means told me I needed to forgive the mother. I dropped my friendship immediately with her and have told everyone I could what was going on in that house. Ovid is BS. I don't know anybody that has it. Bye. Don't talk to me or my children. I demand respect. If you have to demand it from people, they already lost all of it, thus they can't give you any. One of my old high school buddies was going through a really rough time after a series of self-inflicted stupid decisions that quickly led to him losing his job, being thousands in debt and very close to being homeless, with his landlord saying he was weeks behind on his rent. All of his friends and I tried to bail him out of his immediate debt to keep his rental, find another job for him to make cash again and start sorting himself out. Then he started complaining on social media that he didn't like everyone telling him how to live his life and that he should just kill himself to avoid being a hassle to everyone. That did it for almost everyone, but me. His parents, who'd been enabling him, cut him off. All of his other friends called him an ungrateful bastard and cut him loose. I went to him and told him what a jack-off he was being. Threw down a knife into his coffee table and told him either he was serious or he wasn't. He then admitted he was just seeking attention, and we spent the next 2 hours having a heartfelt talk on how he could turn things around, with me promising to return the next evening to check up on him. I spent the next day convincing a shared buddy to give him a job on his farm, then going to his parents and telling their son's heartache so they knew what was up with him, before finally going back to my old buddy's place with close to $1,000 of cash I'd made selling one of my rifles. But when I got to my old buddy's place, he didn't answer the door. His car was there, so I knew he was home, and I heard his TV turn off after knocking on the door. But he ghosted me. Didn't even answer his cell phone, despite me leaving voicemail. Said loudly from his front door that I had a job for him and cash. Just completely played cold shoulder to me. I was so angry from how much he'd wasted my time that I just silently raged to myself and left. Went straight to the church, gave the money to the padre and told him to use it however he saw fit for the parish. Then I went to my other buddy's farm and told him not to bother with the other guy, giving him a bottle of Jack for his kindness. After that I took off to the city and spent the rest of the day drinking at a strip joint before sleeping it off at the motel nearby. When I finally came to the next day, I had dozens of missed calls and voicemail from my old buddy apologizing and not realizing what he'd fumbled into the gutter. I deleted it all, blocked his number, and then drove home. We never spoke again, and I have no clue what happened to him. And I never cared to find out. Found out my dad was in a relationship with a girl half his age. My mum knows, and for some reason is fine with it. What makes it worse is I had to hear from my cousin. Practically my whole family knew except his 13-year-old daughter. He also goes to church every Sunday and pretends he obeys God and is a perfectly fine human being. He doesn't know that I know. I'm not sure when I should confront him. My new fiancée. Sweet, intelligent, very pretty girl who we were happy to welcome to our family. She goes out one night. Some Chad hits on her, takes her to his place, gets to hit it. She apparently felt she was trading up and broke up with Newfew and pursued this guy hard. Her new boy toy uses her for a couple weeks and dumped her. She came back to my Newfew who is still behind, crushed and not eating yet. The damage was done. He wanted to get with her, but couldn't let himself. She's still calling and trying as she realizes she made the biggest mistake of her life. Terrible.